Hi, everybody on the call. My name is Alex Gottemoller. I'm one of the founding partners here at Westlake Strategy. We are an advanced AWS consulting partner. We've got a huge range of partnerships across the AWS ecosystem. I think we're in 15 odd service delivery partnerships, everything from, database migration services up through QuickSight and Redshift and, member of a couple competency programs as well, specifically the data and analytics competency. We are a full stack web application development partner. We are a migration partner, and but today we're really going to spend our time and focus on our data and analytics partnership. So we really like QuickSight to put it in plain terms. We were one of the first 10 QuickSight partners 5 years ago. I think now there's up to 75 or so. When Duncan goes through the demo here in a moment, you're going to see, some of the same really cool, really impressive, and really useful features that we love it for, right? So you're going to see embedding, you're going to see, QuickSight Q, which is, I think has gotten a lot of uptake. And I as he goes through it, just take a look at not just the content and the queue and the visualizations themselves, but really imagine your data in here and being able to embed this in your environment. Those are some of the reasons we really love QuickSight.
Really quick before Maddie shows our demo, I just want to mention a little bit about our use case. What we wanted to highlight was that with the Q&A experience and with Q topics and Amazon Q in general, we're really able to look into whether it is the health and life sciences industry, really be able to take a peek into what your data is saying about whatever industry you might be in. And it's really a cool way to be able to dive in deeper and not have to spend so much time on development resources per user. What ends up happening is that your users themselves become the developers, and it really can add a huge amount of flexibility to how your decision makers can get to know what's going on and make better and even more innovative decisions as a result. So our Sunshine Act and Open Payments dashboard that we created with the purpose of giving someone in the healthcare industry insight into the marketplace. What you're seeing right now is our own application called Loop that we created to allow us to white label our AWS analytics solutions. So what we have is a place to embed all of our QuickSight dashboards and Q topics and be able to host that on our website. The Sunshine Act is part of the Affordable Care Act in the United States, and the act essentially says that if a manufacturer makes a payment to a medical provider, whether that person is a doctor, a nurse, or a dentist, that the manufacturer must report that payment to the government. This data is reported yearly, so our most recent reporting year is 2023. Our goal with this dashboard and Q topic is to show that not only can we pull in a really large data set, but also how we can use these services, dashboarding and Q topics to create really insightful stories with data. So now switching over to Amazon Q, one reason that we really love Q topics and one of the reasons we've gone all in on QuickSight is this Q&A experience. It allows our users the ability to ask their data questions in a natural language. And with that in mind, our development process for any Q topic really starts with knowing what are the most important questions, what are going to be the most common questions that our users will want answers to, and then refining our topic from there. So those initial questions that we use for the development process typically become our first verified questions that you see here. And I'll cover verified questions later on in the demo, but for now we can start with just this one question. And I want to use this to highlight a few of the functionalities and the features that we love the most about Q topics besides just the Q&A. So on the left-hand side here, we're going to get a 2 to 3 sentence insight that is a really concise summation of the response that Amazon Q came up for our question. I really love this is because this is something that you can take into a weekly or monthly business review meeting and have something really valuable to add to the conversation. And then coming across to the right here, let's say this line graph, I really like the data that it's showing, but I don't love the visual. We're not backed into a corner with Q. We can actually come up here and change that visual type and be able to move on and say, okay, I really like what I'm seeing now. The other part of the response functionality that we love is the ability to export data from individual visuals. So we have this table down at the bottom. If I really love what I'm seeing from this table, I can come up here onto the right-hand side again and export this as a CSV. Coming back to the top here, we have our interpretation. So this is really great to be able to see how did Amazon Q understand the question that I asked. And we'll cover this in a little bit more detail as well later on in the demo. Then over here on the right, I really want to make sure that we highlight this. This is the feedback option. It allows a user to send a message back directly to a developer based on specific questions. This is going to be really helpful for the refinement and long-term updates to your Q topics. I highly recommend that when you fire up a new Q topic, that you encourage your users to use the feedback option as much as possible. So for our use case demo, I'm actually going to jump back to the QuickSight console. So this is our same dashboard. This is our same Q topic. What I wanted you to see though is our search bar here at the top. So instead of it being separated, what we have through the console is this combination. So once you click on that, you get the right side panel and it's your typical question and answer from Q. So again, our use case is to allow a user to get a read on the marketplace for pharmaceuticals and medical devices. So for example, let's use Ozempic, a weight loss drug that has been covered widely in the media in the past 2 years. Let's say we want to learn more about how the manufacturer has been interacting with healthcare providers. So let's start with who makes Ozempic. So in the search bar, I'm going to pop in, show me the manufacturer that made payments related to Ozempic. And as it returns with a response, it looks like we have 2 entries under the same company name, probably the company's country of origin, and then a subsidiary. So now that we know who the manufacturer is, we can dig a little bit deeper. So how about we ask, how many payments were made relating to Ozempic? And again, on the left-hand side, we're going to see that it's loading up that insight. And now it looks like we've got a count of payments and then a line graph of payments made over time. Now, this is a lot to take in. This data goes back to 2017, so having it broken down on this granularity level isn't as useful for us. So again, we can come back into our question and answer and we can refine our question. So let's try by year. And that's going to send a query back to our data. And we get a response, and this makes a lot more sense for us as a user, right? We have all of our count of payments made by the year level. So let's say I really love these visuals. I don't want to lose them. I want to keep them for long term, because that's the other part of this puzzle is, well, we get the answer now. We really don't want to lose it. What we can do is utilize something called Pinboards. And Pinboards are a really great feature that allows the user from the Q&A experience to save visuals unique to them and create their own dashboard that is a collection of important visuals that are important to the questions that they're asking. So I can hit add to Pinboard, and let's say I want to save this one as well. I can add that too. I jump to my Pinboard, and now I have those 2 visuals saved, and I can always come back to my Pinboard from the Q&A experience. So if I jump back to the dashboard, close this out, and I come back in and go to my Pinboard, there are my 2 visuals saved from last time. Next, let's try asking a more granular question. Let's try the top 10 providers that accepted payments in USD for Ozempic in 2023. So we get a response pretty quickly. Looking at this again, let's say I don't really love this bar chart. I'd like to see this data in another way.
I can come up to the top here and change it to a donut chart. It's going to requery, but it's going to keep my other visuals the same. Another thing I want to call out here is that we retain our machine learning insight visuals that are the same to our dashboard. So this is a really cool addition that I was excited to see, that even though we're in the Q&A experience, we're getting to enjoy some of the really cool visual and functionality that comes from the typical dashboard experience with QuickSight. So circling back to our interpretation here at the top, we can see that it was able to interpret our question as we expected, but let's say we wanted to change this up. As a user, I'm not able to maybe change my question specifically in the search box, but I can come in here and update my filters. So I can say change the product name, I can change the date range, and that way I have a lot of control. Now, like I was saying earlier with the feedback, let's say I really liked this question and I wanted to save this for later. I didn't want to save specific visuals, I wanted to save this whole question, and I wanted to see how it changed over time. I could come up to the top, hit feedback, leave a thumbs up, and say, please verify. And what that's going to tell my developer is that I want this question to be saved. And that's where me as the developer can come back and say, Mark is verified. And now that this question is verified, if I come back to our Q&A experience, I can reload that same question. So to wrap up a little bit here, we at Westloop love Q Topics because we're able to leverage a lot of the great features that QuickSight already has and be able to add a lot new functionality and give our users a lot of flexibility to be able to explore the data in their own way. We also maintain functionality for us developers to make changes and updates as we need so that the Q Topics are always up to date with whatever data is coming in, and so that if users are asking new questions, we can always refine our Q Topics to those new questions.